Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. God bless you. This is Pastor David Trainum coming into your heart, your life, your car, your home, wherever you're listening to this broadcast. Thanking you once again for tuning in. In a few moments, I'm going to be continuing in our series that we entitled Heaven on Earth and subtitled The Father's Kingdom. And we've been talking about this for quite a few months now. And my hope is that as I'm unfolding these truths, that they are becoming clearer and clearer, and you are seeing yourself as a citizen of heaven and a citizen of God's kingdom on the earth with the knowledge and realization that God's kingdom resides on the inside of you. And I'm going to continue to unfold those truths probably for another few months. But you'll see that each one of these teachings are going to be relevant for where we are, especially in the nation. Okay. And so, with those particular things said, I'm going to be talking about maturing in love. But before I do, I want to let you know that on December, or let me put it this way, on January the 1st, New Year's Day, I will be having a special broadcast. It's going to encourage you, a prophetic word that I believe is for you and all people, that's under the sound of my voice. I don't want people to think that I'm speaking to the entire world, although I believe my message is for them. But if you're listening to these things that I say, these particular truths are finding a lodging place in your heart. And because of that, I believe with all of my heart that they are specifically for you. And so be ready to be encouraged, be ready to be strengthened, and be ready to be encouraged to continue on in this walk that God has put you on, okay? And so because as usual, I've got quite a bit to say about the topic of maturing in love. I want to get right into it because, love is a term that people all over the world knows about. But many do not know that love is not a feeling, but an action that can reveal the true nature of God. You see, although love means one thing to one person, it can mean something totally different to another person. And when it comes to you and me as followers of Jesus Christ, we are to always strive for the height of love that God reveals and who God is. And therefore, we must know what love is and we must know what love is not. And when you know love, you have the capacity to love on a greater level. I'm going to say that again. When you know love, you have the capacity to love on a greater level. And one of the things that I'm going to be sharing is that what most people do not realize is that the essence of love is a person and not a euphoric feeling that some people strive to attain. It's so you have the capacity to love on a greater level when you come into this great relationship that you have with our Father, because we're going to see that God is love. Now, because of this, some people spend their entire lives seeking a love experience. When I say because of this, I'm saying because people don't know that God is love and love is actually a person and it is actually the nature of the person. Some people on earth spend their entire lives seeking a love experience. Some go from man to man or woman to woman, trying to find the feeling of love. They lower their standards and bow to someone so that they can feel love that they think they may have lost growing up, or feel love that they may have lost, or that euphoric feeling they had in a previous relationship. And so some people, they'll go from person to person trying to find the love. Some people will even try to fill their love, quote unquote, need with things and stuff. They get more clothes. And there's nothing wrong with any of these things. Please know this. There's nothing wrong with more clothes. There's nothing wrong with a new apartment. There's nothing wrong with a new home. There's nothing wrong with something new. However, those things will never bring into your life a love experience. And then some people follow money. Some people go after money. The more money they got, the more love that they feel that they're going to be experiencing, not only in their own life, but experiencing through the actions of others towards them. But the Bible is clear that the love of money is a root of all evil. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to look at this love in ways that you can mature in what God has commanded you to abide by. First Corinthians chapter 13, it gives us characteristics of love. And although people can associate with these characteristics, and others can even quote the scriptures that are going to be that I'm going to be sharing, they do not benefit you until they are operating in your life on a daily basis. Okay? Please hear that. Knowing what the characteristics of love is do not benefit you until they are operating in your life on a daily basis. Love is the part of your human nature or your human anatomy that will never let you down if it is understood properly. And when the revelation comes that love is not something you get, but what you have, and further, love is what you give to someone else in God's proper biblical manner, then you can walk in love with the expectation of love in return. You see, this is why verse 8 says in verse 13, I mentioned First Corinthians chapter 13, verse 8 and verse 8 in chapter 13, it says, now abides faith, hope, and love. These three. But the greatest of these is love. Something greater is above every other thing. It has no comparison. It cannot be comprehended, and it cannot be replaced. And so, what you must understand is that in your walk with God, the Lord wants you to be a person of biblical faith. He wants you to have constant hope, no matter what the circumstance is. And he wants you to demonstrate to the people around you what his love is in what you say and how you act. You see, love is a kingdom expression that has no equal because, as I said, it is who God is. It's unselfish because God's unselfish. And because of that, love is often taken advantage of. Like Christ, you don't stop loving because someone disrespects you or misinterprets your acts of love for weakness. Love will uphold you when it appears that everyone has turned their back on you. They won't know why you treat them with respect, decency, and dignity after you hurt them. You see, they know they did not treat you the same way. And so now they're trying to comprehend you and they're trying to figure out what makes you tick. And so by walking in love, you bring others out of their state of depression and hopelessness because now they have an example of God right in front of them through your actions. And by increasing their faith through those actions, you give them a much greater future, giving them hope that they may have thoughts was lost forever. You see, it's not fully understood, but love is to be the pinnacle of your life lived on the earth. It is what you're to strive for every day so you can be perfected in love. And although spoken about and known about, love is not what people strive for. Most people want blessings. They want help. They want resources. They want a mate. They want success. And they want power and prestige. But when you really live a life of love, you realize that these earthly things are already available for you as God determines for you to live a life of love. And so many people fall short of walking in the God kind of love because of selfish desires and a lack of understanding of what God requires. And being reduced to a feeling, or for some, love is a sexual expression, but it is not something that you will always feel, because often it takes doing the right thing because it's the right thing to do. And neither can love be, quote unquote, made by a husband and wife through a physical act. Let's make love. No, you can't. Because it is produced in your hearts by the Spirit of the living God. In love being progressive, or because it happens on a gradual basis, you will mature in love by your daily acts of obedience to the Father. And lacking understanding of this one principle, that love is progressive, this has sent many couples to divorce court, as the love they experience is not what they thought it was supposed to be. My friend, relationships will never be 100% satisfactory to you. But you must strive to be that love for your husband or that love for your wife as they do the same. You see, this mentality gives relationships longevity here on the earth. Now, notice what Jesus said in John chapter 13. He says, "A new commandment I give to you, that you love one another as I have loved you, that you also love one another. And by this, by what? By loving one another, all will know that you are my disciples if you have love for one another." You see, this scripture itself has propelled many believers to search out what love is, and it should. They sought the knowledge of love, but neglected to understand that all biblical knowledge is meant to become part of their kingdom experience. And knowing what love is not how God wants you to reveal his nature of love. It's finding out how Jesus lived when he walked the earth, get this, and then modeling his behavior or living the way Jesus lived. And there are in the scriptures 5 expressions of love revealed when you search out love and you look at the scriptures through the Greek language. And having 5 expressions of love, it shows how complex love can actually be. But it's simplified when we make up our mind to simply follow Jesus Christ's example. And when we look at this example that God has for love, we'll see that true love always gives. As a matter of fact, a foundational scripture for love giving is in John 3:16, which many of us as believers know about, or we should know, which is, for God, John 3:16, so loved the world that he gave, love gives, his only begotten Son, that whoever believes in him or his only begotten Son shall not perish, but have everlasting life. My friend, this is the Father's expression of love, because he gave. However, Jesus Christ's expression of love is revealed in his daily acts of obedience to the Father. He ultimately, as we know, and we just celebrated the fact that he was born, and we are going to be celebrating the fact that he died and was raised again. You know, when the Easter or the resurrection season comes along, understand, he ultimately laid down that life that we just celebrated so that he could take it up again. You see, that was faith, that was hope, and that was love expressed by Jesus Christ through that one act of obedience, which was really a result of a series of actions for the 33 years that he lived on the earth in this physical human body. And it culminated in that last act of obedience. You see, Jesus demonstrated the greatest love that a person could ever express. As John chapter 15 and 13 states, no greater love has any man than this, that he laid down his life for his friends. You see, Jesus did this literally, and he was raised from the dead so that we could follow that example of laying down our lives so that we can really live. And the complexity of God's love is revealed in the Greek definitions of the word love. But it's not grasped until you live them out in real time. And my friend, that's the dilemma that many followers of Jesus Christ faces today. We know what these definitions of love are. And some of us can even quote the Greek words, but we lack the discipline to reflect God's love in our daily affairs. You must also know that walking in love is not tested when you walk in agreement with somebody that you already love and respect. It should be love. You should love people in those relationships, husbands and wives, parents and children, grandparents, brothers, sisters, relatives, those that are close to you. It should be there. However, love is really tested in the furnace of life when you respond properly to people who may not love you, or they love you only in response to acts of love that you may have demonstrated to them. The question becomes, can you love people that do not love you? Tough question to answer. And some of you have even experienced that. You can name the person that actually hated you, took advantage of you, used and abused you, did everything to you but love you, said stuff to you that were not words of love. But the question becomes, can you walk in love with people that do not love you? Christ did. If that's our example, we have to figure out a way to do that. Well, in a few days, we're going to be confirming a new president. Okay? I didn't vote for him, you might say. He's not the one that I wanted. Okay? That's all right. But can you still walk in love with people that voted differently than you? No matter what it says, no matter what the future holds. You know, there's an old saying, I've heard my wife mention it. You know, I think she was the first one. I don't know what the future holds, but I know him who holds the future. That's where we got to be. We can't get so caught up in the political battle of the earth that we forget that somebody that thinks differently than us politically, somebody that serves God differently than us in another denomination, or somebody that is in witchcraft or any other vice on the earth. They don't even recognize Jesus as Lord. Understand this, they are not your enemy. You are commanded to still yet find that way to walk in love. Now, remember on the cross, Jesus said, Father, forgive them, for they don't know what they're doing. You see, we've got to see people through those same lenses. Father, forgive them, for they don't know what they're doing. And comparing Jesus's act of love to your own life. Hebrews chapter 12 says, consider him, Jesus, who endured such hostility from sinners against himself, lest you become weary and discouraged in your souls, because you have not yet resisted to bloodshed, striving or struggling against sin. Now, we can look at that, verse 4, and we can say, well, a sexual sin and cussing. No, that's not what he's talking about here. When he's talking about striving against sin, you got to understand. He's talking about how Jesus walked in love. And you are commanded to walk in love if we're a real follower of Christ. And so when we look at life, we see that our lives don't compare to the life that Jesus Christ lived. And seeing the various types of love, it shows us that even more is required from you and me as kingdom citizens. Now, I mentioned 5 types of love, and I may, not pronounce the words properly because they're Greek words, but get it. The first one that I have is eros, E-R-O-S, and this is a passionate or romantic love. And it's often associated with sexual desire and physical attraction. It can be intense and overwhelming, and it's usually tied to physical beauty or attraction between two people. You see, eros love is to be reserved for a husband, man, and wife, woman coming together in a marital relationship. It's not that other people can't experience the feeling, but when we put that whole thing together, it's between a man and a woman who have joined themselves in holy matrimony. The second word is philia, Philia. And like Philadelphia, the city of brotherly love, this type of love refers to a deep friendship and affectionate regard between equals. It encompasses feelings of loyalty, camaraderie, and shared experiences like the love between friends and or family members. The next word is storge, S-T-O-R-G-E, and it refers to familial love or the love, the natural affection that someone has for family members. It's especially this bond between parents and children. And it's characterized by a deep and steady and unshakable connection. You know yourself, which we all have, but most of us have, I should say, been raised by a mom and a dad, or a mom or a dad in our homes. There's a love that we have that nobody can shake. And what we have to do is we have to continue to walk in love, because no matter sometimes what is said or what is done, it comes under storge. And what happens is you still love your mom, your dad, your brothers, your sisters, your sons, your daughters, your grandma, your grandpa, your relatives, and the list goes on. Those that are close to you, this is storge. It's a natural affection. Nobody can take that from you. And I will say this about this type of love between parents and children and relatives, my friend, don't give your children, and children don't give your parents an excuse to walk away from this type of love. Make up your mind to treat them right. Make up your mind to talk to them properly. Make up your mind to say, I am going to be the best mom, the best dad, the best child that I could be. Because, my friend, you don't want to get to the end of your life and regret how you treated someone, especially a parent. Honor your mother and your father that you might live long on the earth. And that's not just for little kids. If I'm 60 years old and my mom and dad are still alive, my responsibility is to continue to honor them. The fourth word is xenia, Xenia. That's hospitality and a love between a host and their guest. It was particularly important in ancient Greek culture, where welcoming and caring for strangers was a significant social value. And then the fifth one is the one that many of us know about, which is agape love. It's selfless, it's unconditional love. And it's often described as the highest form of love. Agape love is universal, and it extends to all people, even strangers. And in religious contexts, agape love is associated with divine love and the love that God has for his people and all people. And so, my friend, what I want to do is I want to stop here, although I was not done, because I've gone over the time that I have allotted for this. I want to stop here. We're going to pick up next week, and we're going to continue looking at these things. But please do not forget, on New Year's Day at 8 o'clock a.m. this Wednesday, please know that I will have a special New Year's message coming out just for you. Okay? So God bless you. I pray that the end of this year continues to bring blessings. It's not over. I'm still expecting God to bless me, and I'm hoping that you are still expecting the blessings of God to manifest as this year comes to an end. So until Wednesday morning, January 1st, 2025, New Year's Day at 8 a.m., this is Pastor David saying, God bless you and have a great and godly week.